BlueFalcon here. So, in the last video, I was promising you that I would teach you how to get from depressed to success in your musical journey, right? Because apparently you are that individual who perhaps you want to play music, but you don't know where to begin, or perhaps you've already played music, but you're just not any good. And this is where I come in because I'm going to help you finally accomplish the goals and your musicianal aspirations, musicianal, but musical aspirations. So yeah, stay tuned, all right? But we in part two of pretty much this testimony, and I'm gonna show you how I got from depressed to success, right? So I was telling you about this guy Watson, who was my father's right hand man, and this guy was superb in playing authentication music, which was called compa, right? And I decided to take the humble pill because I was tired of getting kicked off the stage over and over and over, right? I mean, so pretty much I took the humble pill and I stopped playing for a whole year. And with the knowledge that I was learning behind the scenes, right? Because again, I was taking classical music lessons. I was trying to interpret what was Watson doing, because he wasn't telling me anything. All I had to go by was these recordings that I had of him and my own knowledge. So I was trying to piece together. Now, this was so awesome, right? Again, I brought to you a concept of musical genres, right? Now, I'm just going to keep it a buck with you guys. There's many musical genres out there. And you fundamentally, you're going to have to determine what genre of music you actually want to play, all right? Because music is extremely vast. Is it possible to play all types of music that you want? Absolutely. But music is extremely vast. So it's very important for you to hone in terms of what you would like to actually learn. Because if you learn that set of music, it's going to take you down a particular track. And in this particular case, Western European music, classical music, was not the way, at least not for me. Now, I'm not against any classical musicians out there. I highly respect their craft, but it was not helping me in my particular journey when I was playing for my father's church. It just wasn't. So this is where you're going to have to determine right now, do you want to learn Western European music, classical music? Because I could teach you how to read notes, right? I could teach you notes and all those stuff so that you can learn that type of music if you're into Beethoven, Chopin, and all those stuff, right? So just let me know in the comments. But hey, I'm going to just keep it a stack, for my people, you know what I'm saying? For my people, I suggest that you should learn jazz. And that really opened the door for me, because the moment I learned our people's music, right, that's when everything opened up. Quick history, jazz stems from blues. So jazz is a primarily black, musical genre, right? And my father, one time, he was tired of my classical teacher. He really was. He said I wasn't learning anything, so he actually switched me over, right? Here's a lesson in this. I remember when his name was Derns, right? And Derns, I was so attached to my classical teacher, I just did not want to let him go, right? And I was just like, man, I don't want to learn from a new teacher. I don't know why you got to put me through this guy. And my older brother was just like, hey, man, just humble yourself. You didn't even hear the guy play yet. And I was like, nah, man, I don't want to hear about that. I like my classical teacher. And when I met the guy, I was just so arrogant, right? I was so prideful. I thought I knew it all. I thought because, Beethoven and Mozart, they the greatest, right? Well, I quickly found out that how much I really did not know, because one of the first things that Derns, my jazz teacher, told me was that you don't know how to play music. And I was like, what? Do you understand? And I had to put things in context. I must have been at least, I want to say maybe 14, 15 years old at the time. So I had clocked in about 3-4 years already. So do you know how, really humbling that is? How really disrespectful it felt at the time when this man is telling me that after all these years of playing music, that I didn't know how to play music, right? So I was really dead set on trying to prove him wrong. And he put out this book in front of me, right? And the book was called The Real Book. And, he was saying, I want you to read from this. Now, the thing that I want you to understand, right? In classical music, you have a set of two styles, right? Right? You have a set of two styles. I don't know if you can see it, right? And usually you read it, right? You have the treble and then you have the bass clef, right? And you're reading a bunch of these notes, right? And the treble usually is your right hand. And I say usually because there are some points of crossover, but we're not going to get into that in this video. And left hand is usually reserved to the bass clef, okay? Now, could you imagine? I've been learning this way all my life. And for the very first time, I had this man put out this book where there was no bass clef whatsoever. There was no bass clef. And there was just a bunch of these signs up here. You know what I'm saying? A bunch of these signs up here. And I'm just like, what in the world? Right? So, long story short, I found out very quick in a hurry that I didn't know a damn thing. And this is how usually jazz music is composed, right? Again, this is a very oversimplification, but that's not the point, right? But the way the jazz world works is that you would read the chords on top, and that's what's reserved for your left hand, while you're playing the melody with your right hand, right? So me not being exposed to that, pretty much that Durns made his point very fast, right? That I didn't know how to play music. So I humbled myself and I learned from him. I was learning jazz, and that was the best thing that could have happened to me, right? Because one thing that he really taught me, and that's something that I want to teach you all. If you're going to learn from me, I want you to understand that I do not want you to become a piano player. I don't want you to become a bass player. I don't want you to become a drummer or a guitar player or a saxophone player. I want you to become a musician. I know that sounds weird, but it's actually a big difference. And you're probably thinking like, oh, what's the difference? If I'm a piano player, I'm a musician. Wrong. You see, I found out that I was just a piano player. I was just going online, learning a bunch of songs. I was just reading from the actual, the books, the classical books, but I had no understanding. You see, the greats, Beethoven, Mozart, these guys had understanding when they composed those pieces of music. But all you're doing when you read from music, you're just regurgitating what they understood fully well. And then they wrote that down on paper, but you don't understand why they composed those notes, why they arranged those notes that way. You don't know why they chose those particular chords the way they chose them. You're just regurgitating. Same thing when you look up music online and you're thinking to yourself, oh, I feel so good because I'm playing perhaps some of your favorite songs from, I don't know, Rihanna, Beyonce, whatever people that's popular right now, right? So you go online and you look up a YouTube tutorial and you're thinking to yourself that you're actually learning music. You're not learning music. You're just learning how to regurgitate. There is no actual understanding of why those composers chose those chord progressions, why those composers chose that melody over those chord progressions. As a musician, you're going to find out, or rather musical theory, you're going to find out that understanding is the most important thing. And that's what I'm trying to present to you today. If you're going to be following me, if you're going to choose me as your teacher, I guarantee you, you're going to understand music so that you can compose your own music if that's what you wish to do. Or at least be able to appreciate music to a far greater level when you go to, I don't know, maybe a concert, or maybe if you go listen to people in your church play, rather than just being a passive listener, right? Oh, it sounds good. Yeah, I'm clapping my hands. Now you'll gain a greater understanding to be like, oh, okay, I hear that phrasing that musician did. Oh, I understand. Right. You'll be able to enjoy the music that much greater, right? There's a reason why musicians usually flock to other musicians, right? Like, because they understand that musical journey, and they appreciate the music to a greater level, right? And that's what I want to actually extend to you all, because it really is a gift. You will literally listen to music and hear music in a total different way, right? So getting back to the point, he taught me how to become a musician and not just a piano player. And so with that, I took that knowledge, listened to the recordings of Watson, right? My father's right-hand man. And finally I was like, oh, that's why Watson is doing what he's doing. After a year's time, I came back to the church, and lo and behold, I was able to play music. And finally, people went from, having the raising that eyebrow, like, oh boy, he's back, to actually, oh, right? Now they dancing, now they clapping, now, you get what I'm saying? Now they actually giving praise. And that's what I'm talking about. That's that musical journey. That's when you get from being depressed to success. And this is one thing I want you to learn too, is that ultimately, you see, music is not designed for you, hear me out, to enjoy it all by yourself. No, it was designed for the audience, for other people to actually experience and enjoy it. You know what I'm saying? When I was going to school, this might sound a little bit crude, but it really is. I can't think of a better analogy, honestly. And again, sorry for being crude, but you know how literally people, masturbate, right? I know it sounds completely dirty, but when I was back in Hunter College, we literally had a joke where it's just like, that's what people are doing musically on stage when they playing, and they doing all these things and they're the only ones enjoying it. It's like the heightened sense of self-gratification, but no one else is partaking in this act. So it's not cute. It's not cute. So I don't want you to be that person, right? That's musically masturbating. Okay, I know it sounds weird. I know it sounds real dirty, but I want you to have that dirty picture in your mind so that you don't become that musician. You're not designed, music was not designed for you to play by yourself. It was designed for you to actually share that creativity with other people. In other words, the audience is actually, as much as they are able to make you depressed by kicking you off stage, they actually the key to your success. And you need to play in such a way that makes them feel like they've enjoyed themselves. It is an experience. It's a two-way street, all right? Again, I know you might think to yourself, like, I just want to play music for myself. Stop, all right? Stop. You're heading down a track that I've tried to go down, and I'm saving you a lot of time. It is designed for you to be a servant. You got to serve the people. But anyway, getting to the point, I was finally being able to play for the church. People were finally enjoying themselves. And guess what? Lo and behold, I found out that Watson actually wasn't being a jerk. Watson, deep down inside, Watson always wanted me to play the piano because his passion was actually singing. So he always wanted me to actually take up the mantle of playing the piano so that he could sing for the church. Who would have thought? And guess what? I also realized the reason why he was not able to teach me, because lo and behold, he actually didn't know musical theory. He only knew how to play by ear. And when I found that out, I was just like, oh, it all makes sense now. And let me just tell you this, again, because this is part of the musical journey, you don't know how many people that you come up to a musician, right? Or somebody you assume is a musician, and you find out that they just a piano player, or they just a drummer, or they just a guitarist, and they cannot teach you a damn thing about their instrument because they don't have no theory, right? They don't have no theory. And what I want you to understand is don't hate them for it. But I do want you to have some level of maturity to understand that if they say they cannot teach you, it's probably because they literally just can't teach you. They're not trying to hold this knowledge to themselves. They literally just cannot teach you because they've made it by just regurgitating things from other people throughout the years. I don't want that for you. I didn't want it for myself. So I'm not gonna want that for you, right? I want you to understand the music. So this is why I've made it. I've put the burden upon myself because I've had so much people come up to me and say, hey man, can you please teach me? Can you please teach me? Can you please teach me? Man, I really love the way you play. And it's really humbling. It really is. Again, it's humbling because I was here. I was at that depressed stage for years. And I've never had those type of accolades. So when people finally come up and say that they love the way I play, it's really humbling. And I give all the glory to the Most High Yah, right? But I'm just one person. And I can't teach everybody all I want, especially not multiple instruments. This person wants to learn the saxophone for me, and this next person wants to learn the piano for me, and I don't have enough time in the day. So this is why I made this video series. I made this video series because I wanted to finally, the money that I spent, the countless money I've spent to invest in myself, right? Thanks to my parents, and then later on I spent my own money. I'm here to save you all of that and put all this knowledge for free in this video series, all right? All I ask is that may you like and subscribe to the channel, because that does help a lot. Liking a video is the number one thing that YouTube looks at to promote a video, and that's how you can help me. But again, I just want to share that story with you all because I want you to all understand that I actually can relate to that musical journey. I too was there, trust me, and many other musicians were there at one point in time. You're not alone in this, all right? But I'm going to be that guy that actually helps you out. I'm not going to be the one that says I don't have enough time. I'm not going to be the one that says I can't teach you, because I know I can. All right, so I'm going to put this out here on this YouTube channel, and you can watch and rewatch to your heart's content. All right, that is my gift that I wish to share to you, and I hope that the Most High may bless you all through this video series. All right, you guys. Anyway, with that being said, stay tuned, because in the next video, we're going to actually get into some real musical theory. All right. And before I leave, I just want you to understand why I started off with this. I started off with this testimony, not only to relate to you, but I want you to understand one day, listen up, you too are going to have to pass down this knowledge to someone else. And you are going to have your own testimony. All right. This testimony is for me to relate to you, but one day you're going to have to relate to that young boy or girl that you're teaching. Everybody has to start off with a testimony. And may you never forget it, because that testimony is what's going to keep pushing you. It's going to keep driving you to get from being depressed to success in your musical journey. Anyway, with that being said, I'm BlueFalcon. I'm over and out. Jesus is King, y'all.
Game to win. Game hard.